All right, good morning. We are so glad to have you here for the webinar. Good morning, good morning. Okay, as we get started, we first want to go over a few housekeeping things. So during the presentation, please feel free to use the chat box to communicate directly with the panelists. For questions, please place them in the Q&A box. We can't see or hear you, but you can use those features to communicate with us. As we're waiting for everyone to join, we are going to launch a poll question for you all to answer. So let me go ahead and launch that for you all. Okay. So the poll question is, what is math? I'm going to give you all a few seconds to answer that. Okay. So we seem to have stopped at 12 people. So I'm going to go ahead and end it so we can go over it. So in the poll, so the correct answer is the Mississippi Articulation and Transfer Tool, also known as MAT. And so the Mississippi Articulation and Transfer Tool was created to be a one-stop shop for transfer students, administrators, advisors, and faculty. So MAT is designed to facilitate student transitions between and among Mississippi institutions of higher learning and community and junior college systems. The map displays detailed and up-to-date information on degree pathways and provides students with a streamlined way to access transfer agreements developed between public institutions in a searchable database. So the map enables students to compare current courses against equivalent courses at another institution and learn how those courses meet degree requirements for a specific major. So I'm going to put the link for the mat in the chat because it is a great resource for our transfer students to use. I'm going to do that now so that you all can see that. Give me 1 second to copy that. All right, so you guys should have that now. And we'll go on to the agenda. So welcome, and my name is Chelsea Williams. I am the coordinator of external training and partnerships here at the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session, and we will send a link to everyone who has registered at the end. For those watching this recording, today's date is November the 7th, 2023. And the material in this webinar is current through the 2023-2024 school year. In today's session, we'll be going over things students should consider about the transfer experience. You will hear from two transfer admissions counselors who will give advice about all the aspects of the transfer experience. I'm now going to share a little background information on Get to College and a few logistics about the webinar before we get started. So Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven, and we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of college planning and financial aid. All of our services are completely free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can tell students when to apply for admission and scholarships, help them fill out their FAFSA, or advise on essay writing and interviewing. As we mentioned earlier, during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but you can ask questions through instant message at any time. We'll be monitoring and replying to Q&A today. We will have a time for live Q&A with the presenters at the end, but feel free to message your questions at any time. Again, my name is Chelsea Williams. I am the coordinator here of External Training Partnerships here at Get to College. And if Kristen wants to introduce herself. Okay. I would now like to introduce our speakers for today. So first we have Devin Chadwick. Devin was born in Macomb, Mississippi, and spent most of his life there. His college journey began at Southwest Mississippi Community College, which gave him the start to college that he really needed. After finishing at SMCC, he transferred then to Southern Mississippi and had a wonderful experience there, and graduated with a BS in Communication Studies. So Devin's time as a transfer student gave him the passion to help other students continue their college journey. He started working as an admissions recruiter shortly after finishing at USM in 2021 and has happily been there ever since. His experience as a transfer student and as an admissions counselor has given him a passion to assist transfer students. He is eager to share his experience and expertise with us today, that he has gained over the past few years. Our next presenter is Shakira King. She is a native of Senatobia, Mississippi. She received her Associate of Arts degree in May of 2020 from Northwest Mississippi Community College. Shakira transferred to Delta State University following her graduation and earned a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in healthcare administration in December 2022. Presently, Shakira is engaged in the pursuit of a master's degree in healthcare administration, and her anticipated graduation date is in May of 2024. Shakira has 1 year of experience in higher education as an admissions transfer recruiter for Delta State University. So Devin and Shakira, I will now turn the presentation over to you.
Hey y'all, as Chelsea mentioned, my name is Devin Chadwick, and I'm happy to be talking to you guys about how you all can help set students on their path to success. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, so Chelsea just shared a bit about me, but just to share a bit more detail about me and my college journey. I started off at North Pike. I was a kind of student that, I did pretty well in classes without having to study, and I did really well in the ACT. So just based on my GPA and ACT alone, if you were to look at that, I would have been a good candidate to start at a university. However, just the thought of even moving away from home, really, really frightened me. I was barely been driving at this point in my life, and even deciding like where I wanted to eat that night was a super big thing for me. So personally, I wasn't quite ready to start at a university, even though my GPA and my ACT score may have said otherwise. I could have easily gone to a university in Mississippi and saved a good bit of money and maybe done okay. But for me, community college provided a great pathway for me to ease into college. So yeah, I started at Southwest from 2016 to 2019, ended up being the perfect choice for me because I quickly realized that I couldn't keep relying on my, just aptitude for classes. Like I realized I didn't know how to study. I realized I didn't know a lot of the skills that I would have needed to succeed at a university. So my time at Southwest really helped me to grow as a student. And it really just shaped my character too, because at that point in my life, I really was questioning and trying to figure out who I was. And if I were to have started a university first, that's a great option for a lot of people. But for me, Southwest was just the simple start that I needed. And you can see there that I spent 3 years there. it is that's because that's another reason why it's really great that I had a slower start is because I had no idea what I wanted to do as a college student starting college. I knew I wanted a degree, I knew I wanted a job, and I knew I wanted to find an affordable way to do all that. But yeah, I changed my degree plan several times at Southern Miss. I went from general studies to psychology to I eventually settled on getting a career tech degree and computer networking because I was so burned out from high school and all of like the honors, AP classes, all of that. And I just my first semester in academics was not very good at Southwest because yeah, I just wasn't a great student at that point. So I eventually started that computer networking degree. Um, Halfway through, I realized this is what I want to do, but I went ahead and finished it anyways. And by the time I finished at Southwest, I had a good head on my shoulders of what I wanted to do. So by the time I transferred to Southern Miss in 2019, I'd settled on majoring in communication studies, and that was great for me. It gave me a lot of the communication skills that I needed and to just work a lot of different jobs. And shortly after graduating, due to my experience with my degree plan, I was able to start this job. So I've been at this job since for about 2 years now. This is my third recruitment year, and I've worked with community college students the entire time. So yeah, but because of my rocky start, because of my journey from starting in community college, transferring to university, and now working as a admissions recruiter for transfer students, it's really given me a lot of it's really given me a heart to want to help students, find the right path for them because it's not always a cut and dry path for everyone. So yeah, so my expertise being a recruiter and my experience has really shaped a lot of what I want to share with you guys today. So yeah, so I wanted to start off by um, saying that yeah, there's not a one size fits all solution. Every and this is more towards for those of you that are here that are from high schools and they're trying to help students find the right start for them. For for me, for example, my like it made a lot of sense for me on paper. I had a good GPA, I had a good ACT score to start at a university first. I would have had a lot of scholarships. I wouldn't have had to pay very much at all. I would have had a lot covered. But yeah, for me, I wasn't quite ready to start college. I started university immediately. So I've got a little table down there that mentions factors that may influence a student's college choice. Yeah, so I know one of the biggest factors that drives people to choose one university or a community college over the other is cost. Um, other factors are location, major, campus size / amenities, and college readiness. Using myself as an example, you know, it may have been smart for me to start at university first, but although cost and affordability is really high on my rating for what I wanted out of my college experience, what ended up really leading me to start at Southwest first was I wasn't ready for college, and Southwest provided a really good stepping stone into that while also being affordable. And it was really close to home for me, which really mattered. I didn't know what I wanted to major in, so it was great for me to start at Southwest too. And yeah, so I'd urge everyone that's working with students that are still trying to figure out whether they want to start at a community college or university. It's what may work for one student doesn't always work for everybody else. You may have a lot of high achieving students, and it may seem best for them all to go off to a university to start with, but maybe they're kind of like me and they're not ready to jump into a university setting right away, or maybe they want to stay close to home. So I just urge you all to consider that really see what your student needs, engage what's right for them, see what their priorities are for college, and help them to know that it's not just about cost. It's not just about where it's gonna be the most fun. It really is. Every student's really different, and sometimes it takes seeing what they need or even exposing them to different things to point them in the right direction. So yeah, so I wanted to also speak a little bit about the benefits of starting a university versus the benefits of starting at a community college. Having gone to both a community college and a university, I love both. And I don't think that there is one right choice over the other. Granted, I maybe kind of may sound kind of funny coming from a university recruiter, but yeah, I really think that you really need to see where your student is and point them in the right direction. I know some schools and some parts of the state I visit, for example, a lot of people automatically want to push their students towards community college first, whereas that might not be the best option for that student, or vice versa. Some may be pushed to university first, and maybe they're pressured to start a university because they're on paper they're a really university ready student, but you have to gauge what's best for them. So one thing I wanted to start off with is talk about affordability. So first with the community colleges, one thing that's great is all across the board, they're generally affordable for most students, even for those students that don't receive any scholarships at all. Tuition is very low at community colleges. So for those students that maybe aren't great test takers and couldn't get great ACT scholarships, community colleges provide a really good pathway to save money due to lower tuition. And there's also lower scholarship thresholds. So maybe someone's ACT score wouldn't get them a scholarship at a university, but at a community college, that could get them a lot of money. So community colleges, whether you're a high achieving student or whether that student, didn't do as well in the ACT as they wanted to, it's really affordable overall. And for students that started at community college, once you are at a community college, the scholarship bracket changes. You're no longer getting scholarships based on your ACT score. You're getting scholarships based on how well you do at your community college. So for those students that are really great students, but maybe not the best test takers, they still have a great opportunity to save money at their community college and then start at a university and save money based on how well they do at their community college. Then going over to the other side of the table, affordability for starting at a university. A lot of people automatically think that going to a community college is always more affordable, and sometimes that's not the case. For high achieving students and those that are able to get ACT scholarships and other scholarships like leader-based scholarships, they may actually end up saving more money in the long run starting at a university versus starting at a community college. So for those, I actually work with a student. He went to a community college in the area, and he loved his time at his community college. He wouldn't trade it for anything, but he was always pushed to go to a community college first, but he had a very high ACT score. He had a high enough ACT score. We could have easily gotten full tuition and more at any Mississippi university easily. But he just wasn't aware of that. He didn't regret his decision, but it just kind of opened his eyes, because he was like, man, I didn't know that, I've always heard that community college was the best start for me. I always heard that was cheaper. He didn't know that he could have actually saved a bit more money in the long run just going to university. Of course, he didn't regret it. He loved his time at his community college, but I was had to use that example. Yeah, next, campus size and amenities. Community college is a great choice for people that are intimidated by maybe a bigger starter. They prefer a smaller campus. And some really great benefits to the smaller campus size of a community college is those freshman, sophomore level classes are going to be a really small class size for the most part. Even their bigger ones, are only going to be maybe 40 people at most. So it's a much less intimidating, a much easier, smoother transition from high school to college. It's still really easy to talk to your professors after class, kind of like it is in high school to talk to your teachers after class. The small class sizes are really great for that. And smaller campus is a lot less intimidating to navigate. You typically just know your few class pools you need to go to, know your dorm and know where the cafeteria is, and you're golden. So it provides a really great segue for those students that are looking for a smaller start, which is a lot of students in Mississippi. A lot of us are from small towns, and moving off somewhere to a big campus is a lot. But that may actually be a perk for some students. So for university students starting out, a larger campus may actually be what they're looking for. Some students are ready to jump right in. A lot of students are looking for a more robust college experience, whereas community colleges do have events and a lot of resources going on, but for some students, they want a lot more. They want a lot of events. They want to be involved. And there are great ways to get involved in community colleges too, but some students really just want, what you see in the movies. They want that robust experience. They want to go to the D1 athletic games. They want to, they want there to be something fun they could do like every night, like some big event. And if that's the case, then maybe that student would be more ready to start a university. And finally, this one's pretty self-explanatory, but college readiness. Community colleges are going to be really great for people to start at if, they're not as ready for college. Maybe whether that's if they're not wanting to move away from home yet, or if they just need to grow as a student. Community colleges are a really awesome start. Whereas on the flip side, if you work with students that are just eager to jump into a degree, know exactly what they want to do, or just really, really high achieving, just really ready, then university could be a great start, especially if the university life is attracting to them immediately, especially if they're getting a lot of scholarships. So yeah, but there's no right or wrong option here. But these are just some of the biggest factors I see when I talk to students that are trying to make a choice on where to go for college. And I think it's helpful for you all to keep in mind too when talking with y'all students. So, and also I couldn't go without sharing some of our scholarships at Southern Miss. So for those of you guys that are working with high school students, this is a list of our ACT scholarships. We actually start giving out ACT scholarships at a 21, and you get $3,000 per year, which is about 1/3 of our tuition. So this scholarship table shows that tuition can actually be more affordable to pay for than students might think originally. Like a 21 is very achievable. That's close to the average ACT score in Mississippi right now, I believe. So a lot of Mississippi students would automatically be eligible for a scholarship. And as you keep going up the ladder, by the time you get to $5,000 to $7,000, where our tuition is only about $9,500. So by the time you get to a 24, you're really saving a lot of money. That's over the course of your whole time at Southern Miss, the whole 4 years. So yeah, if you guys need to snap a picture of that, you can, but I won't read every single line. Just know that yeah, we have some pretty great ACT scholarships too for students that did want to start at USM. And also something I wanted to touch on too, before I go into the details about these scholarships, for students that you work with that are in early college or middle college, right now, a lot of universities in Mississippi have really been trying to better accommodate these students. So it depends university to university how we consider these students, whether they are, true incoming freshmen, and whether they get the benefits of a freshman student or a transfer student. Historically at Southern Miss and a lot of schools, these early college or middle college students have been considered freshmen. And that means that was often to their detriment, because if they're coming in as freshmen, they're not getting the Phi Theta Kappa scholarships or community college scholarships they could get from being a true community college student, because they're still coming from high school. And a lot of middle college and early college students aren't focusing as much on the ACT because they're doing middle college to save money already. And it's a lot doing high school coursework and community college coursework. So I know in the past few years, Southern Miss as well as other universities in the state have been trying to better accommodate these students. And yeah, so this is a way that we have. So we still consider middle college students freshmen. They'd most likely be juniors academically, but for admissions purposes, we consider them freshmen at Southern Miss. I think this is the case for most universities, but again, for whatever university your student is considering, just double check with their admissions office and see. But for us, we consider them freshmen, which is to their advantage. They're able to receive those ACT scholarships on the previous slide, and those also stack with these two. So if those middle college students if they even just finish the program and get a degree, get their associate's degree, that's $3,000 per year for 4 years. And if they happen to be in Phi Theta Kappa, the community college they're partnered with, that's another $3,000. So that's $6,000 for a PTK student that finishes the middle college program. And that stacks on with our ACT scholarships as well. So we really wanted to accommodate these students better, and this is what we've come up with. But yeah, for students considering other schools, though, definitely check what they've got going on. But but yeah, so yeah, and just a few encouragements for students that know they're starting a community college. The first thing I wanted to say, which is it's kind of hard to pass along this information. I know if I was at a community college, people were telling me this, they would have had to tell me a million times for it to get drilled in my head. I was really stubborn, but for high school counselors or people that are working with students starting a community college, some advice I have is get involved. My first semester or two at community college, I just saw Southwest as a stepping stone. I wasn't, it was hard for me to be present to the moment there because I was just saw it as just, oh, there's something I got to go through to get to what's next. But for me, I was also not really, I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I was kind of just floating along. It's really easy to miss opportunities and just miss out on like a semester or a year of community college by just seeing it as just another thing you have to do. The students are in such a rush nowadays too. We live in a very like hurried culture. So I just encourage students you're talking to, like it's really important to get involved just for enjoyment of community college because it's a great experience and it's a really a good chance to grow and to become the student or the person you want to be. Yeah, and also community college GPA is vital. I know I did not take this into account whenever I started community college. I was burned out, and I know some other students will be too. For the students that are just choosing community college because it's just the easiest path, they may not be as passionate or not as eager to start at a community college. And it's easy for them to fall behind in classes. I know I sure did. I failed my very first class, my first semester at Southwest. Retook it, got an A, so we're all good in that front. But yeah, community college GPA matters not only to get their associate's degree to be able to continue on to the university, but like I touched on earlier, and I'm going to touch on again in a second, there are great transfer scholarships for community college students. I'll share some of those other misses in a second, but yeah, and for the students struggling in class, tutoring services are available at both community colleges and universities. I was the kind of student too, where I was under the stigma where, you know, only people that are really struggling are like, I'm a smart kid. I can't go get tutoring, but I feel like that's something that is just not helpful. So whether they need help with study skills, writing skills, homework, anything, there's tutoring available at all the community colleges. Really great. And students just, no matter what caliber of student they are, everyone should take advantage of it. Next, look ahead and take steps towards college or career goals now. A lot of students, if they're just floating along, they don't know what they want to do. They may just start community college may just be just the next decision they make, and they may not have that same eagerness for college some others might, or whatever the reason is. It's important for students to be present at the community college, but also to continue to look towards what's next. So if a student knows what they want to major in, for example, let's just say, we're working with a student that wants to be a nursing major. What they can do is they can look at some degree plans for nursing schools they may have in mind. Even if they don't know which school they want to, just go look at the degree plans. And if that student gets with their advisor at their community college and shows them those classes, they'll better be on path to actually get started in the nursing program on time. That's the case for a lot of majors. And this is a really hard one to get students to do, but encourage them to attend recruitment events and tour campus for both the community college they're hoping to start at soon and the university they hope to go to during their time at community college. So it's something that is really easy to just kind of be negligent about. I know I've really dropped the ball on this, but it is so helpful, and it really helps students to get acquainted with their community college if they take a tour of campus, and it's a really good way to get acquainted with the university they may be transferring to. And finally, I think I'm running short on my time, but get to know community college faculty and staff. It's a really great way to make networking opportunities I found my very first real part-time job just by getting to know staff at my community college. And that led to me having experiences valuable for this job now. And just if you have a good relationship with your community college faculty, they're there to help you if you need it. A lot of community colleges, they really put the community in community college. The faculty are there to help and assist if students are falling behind. So just make sure your students know to take advantage of that. So, and finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about students that do want to transfer to Southern Miss. Let me check my time here. Yeah, so We have over 140 majors. Some of our biggest ones are nursing. We graduate the most board certified nurses in Mississippi. We have the #1 forensics program in the Southeastern United States, as well as being amongst the top 5% of polymer science engineering. And we're one of the top teaching colleges in the United States. We also have a bunch of other majors too, a lot of really specific ones for students that have really specific passions. We're accredited in all the major arts. We have some of the only marine science degrees in the state, and some of our degrees are really specific to like the entire United States. So we have marine biology, marine science, conservation biology, hydrography. So anything ocean related students want to do, we have a really great choice for that. We're also one of the only medium-sized universities in the state. So for the students that really want something small, want a mix of maybe something, the small aspects of a community college, but also the bigger aspects of university, we combine both those together at Southern Miss. We have pretty small class sizes still. But we also have a lot of the features that you'd want out of a university. We have 200 student orgs. We have D1 athletics. We're an R1 research institution. So our professors are taking part in really great research. And Hattiesburg is a great place to live. We have about population of about 50,000 people, and there's a lot of things to do. Everything from eat at one of our 200 restaurants. You can go axe throwing, escape room, zoo, you name it. And it's also really good for professional opportunities too, for finding those internships you might not get in a smaller college town. And some transfer specific things that are really good is we have some great transfer scholarships. I'll pull up a slide for that in a quick second. We accept up to 90 credit hours from a community college. So for students, so for those of you guys that are working with community college students now, and they may have some extra credits, if they've taken all their general education credits as well as some major specific classes, we can fit all those into the degree plan, as long as it's relevant, of course. If they take a bunch of art classes that may not fit very well into their business degree. And yeah, 50% of our students are transfer students. So really big transfer student population here. A lot of people from community colleges all over the state. And yeah, I'll turn over to the next slide to show all the scholarships real quick. All right, so these are our transfer scholarships. This is good to keep in mind for those of you that are at community colleges right now, or that are working with high school students. Again, GPA is super important. Community college scholarships are really good. Most universities have something similar to this. I think right now are one of the higher ones in the state, but yeah, for just having a 3.0 by the time they finish, they can get $4,000 per year with us. But if they become a Phi Theta Kappa member, which is the honor society at community colleges, it's internationally recognized. They need a 3.5 to get into that. But if they remain a PTK member by the time they graduate their community college, they can get $6,000 per year for 2 years. That doesn't stack with the community college scholarship, just because the PTK scholarship is the premium version of the community college one. But this is good to keep in mind. Just if you take anything away from this slide, GPA, good. It matters. You can save a lot of money doing well to community college. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for listening. My contact info is right up there on the screen. Also, if you scan that QR code, it will take you to my digital business card if you want to just get some more information on Southern Miss or about me. So yeah.
Devin, we've got a quick question before we transition. One of the attendees asked, if the amount goes up of the scholarship from one year to the next, do students get the amount that they were awarded when they applied, or does that amount increase with them?
That's a good question. So I think it depends on the scholarship, but I have seen, so the example that I've seen is we increased our PTA scholarship a year or two ago from, I think, $4,500 a semester to $6,000. Some students I work with for the first year, they received the $4,500 scholarship. But then by the time that academic year is over, we went ahead and honored the new scholarship. And so for the last year, for their senior year last year, they were able to receive that new scholarship amount. So in most cases, we'll try to honor that. If it's like a one-time scholarship, though, like maybe you receive, if it's a scholarship they may apply for and they receive it one time through another scholarship, of course, that wouldn't go up. But if it's a tuition-based scholarship, from what I've seen, we will increase it to honor it. But I think that depends school to school. Always with any of this stuff, just check with the university they're going to, talk to their admissions recruiters and see what that is.
And Devin, this may be a little outside of your scope of knowledge as a transfer recruiter, but if they come in as a traditional freshman and get an ACT scholarship and that changes, do you know if that amount will stay with them at the amount they came in at, or if it will adjust in subsequent years?
Yeah, so this may depend on school, but generally speaking, well, at Southern Miss and for most universities that I'm aware of, you have a deadline your senior year as far as to how long you have to submit that ACT scholarship. It may be different for community colleges, but for us, for example, they have until March 1st to get their ACT scores to us, and we will honor whatever score that is, whether it's we also take super score. So they're combining all the different individual scores of the ACT, but we will only take ACT up to that point for scholarship purposes. So if a student applies to Southern Miss this semester, or this month rather, and they have like a 20 on the ACT, they're not locked into that. They have until March 1st to take it again to get their score to us. So if their score increases up till that point, we will adjust their scholarship, but anything after that we can't. However, if they need an ACT score to get into like our nursing program or our education program, for example, we will take that after they graduate, since that won't get them any additional scholarships, but I know those are two majors that you need a specific ACT score to get into. So
Good morning, everyone. As Chelsea introduced me earlier, my name is Shakira. I'm the transfer recruiter at Delta State University. I'm just going to touch on a few points about my experience as being a transfer student. Also, I want to tell Devin, great presentation. You did touch on a lot, and I thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure the campus will be thankful for that as well. So I graduated from Senatobia High School, which is also a small town here in Mississippi. So I had the ability to transfer to Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia, Mississippi, which is like 2 minutes from my high school. So the reason why I chose that is because it was like right there in my hometown. I don't think that I was ready to be prepared to go off and branch off from my family, because we are a very small and close-knit family. So as I transitioned from Senatobia High School to Northwest Community College, it kind of wasn't a big adjustment for me, only because I had a lot of alumni that attended Northwest, and they had me connected in with a couple people there on that campus. So they made my experience there very great. And a couple things that they helped me do was get connected in with their work study job. So being connected in with their work study job, it really helped me build my experience around the campus. Being that work study student, it helped me get involved with different organizations and clubs there at Northwest. So it helped me build as a person and my character, and it helped me grow as well. And that's what I enjoyed there at Northwest. And then coming down, thinking about transferring to university, I really didn't know too much about all the financial aid, the scholarships, things that students should know coming into a community college or a university. So my mom, she pretty much just threw me out there like, hey, this is something that you're gonna have to do. As far as financial aid, you have to figure everything out on your own. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So I was able, with those same people that I was connected in with, they helped me along the way, figuring out how to apply for scholarships, when to apply, financial aid, filling out my FAFSA. Our financial aid office pretty much helps students with that FAFSA. So something that I like for high school counselors, like just to point out to their students what they're filling out as far as FAFSA. Explain to them like, this is that, what's this for, and how it's going to help them at a university. So that is it helped me open up to, hey, this is like a big step coming from a high school student and then transitioning to a college student. So that was able to mold me as well. So when I transitioned to Delta State University, I had a lot of alumni there, so they really helped me connect in with what I needed for my experience. So as far as involvement, Devin touched a lot on that. Students should be very involved when they go out to these universities. So that helps build connections as well. So yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. This is my first time doing something like this. And I'm very nervous and I'm just going off the dome of my head. So I do apologize. I'm gonna move on to the next circle that I have below, tuition and scholarships. So transitioning from a high school student to a community college, I didn't know much about the tuition and scholarships. Like Devin said, he didn't really just focus on like, the financial instant parts about it. So going into community college, I didn't get any scholarships. But once I was able to get admitted into the university, that's when the scholarships were opened up to me. I was able to get like foundational scholarships, being a part of the student organizations, also being like president of an organization that helped me as well with scholarships. And then as I transitioned over to Northwest, that's a state, I did get a PTK scholarship. So that PTK scholarship did help me. Back then it was 100% full tuition at Delta State, but things have changed, but I will touch on it a little bit later. So yes, make sure students know that the tuitions cost for everything and also the scholarships that these institutions have to offer for them coming in as a freshman or a transfer student. That is something that most students do not look at. They just want to apply to the school and just go and think everything is going to be paid for. So I had to learn that the quick way and the hard way that is not the way things go. I came out with a balance and I was like, oh, how am I going to pay for this? So that's how everything went for my experience as far as tuition and scholarships. And then as financial aid, that is pretty much as far as, the FAFSA. But most students don't know much about like the loans that they can get and also the different scholarships that they can get within their institution. So at Delta State, if you don't get scholarships coming in into the university as far as ACT and, Phi Theta Kappa, all of that good things, you can get within departmental scholarships. So say for instance, I was College of Business here at Delta State, and I was able to get multiple scholarships my second semester there. Unexpectedly, I was just applying because I didn't know, and I needed funds to pay for schooling. And so I was able to go to my dean of college, and he was like, hey, have you applied for these scholarships that are open for you? And I was like, no, sir, I didn't know anything about it. So most students don't know about the scholarships that they can receive once they're into their institution. So that is helpful for most students. Connecting with your deans, connecting with your professors, because you never know what all they have to offer for you once you are there in their institution. And lastly, student involvement. I know I touched on this at the beginning, but being very involved with your institution can help you grow as a person and help you in your future career once you graduate from the institution. With me, I was a part of different organizations from SGA, the Disney Student Advisory, also a part of pageant boards because I enjoy doing pageants. Just different organizations because you get that different aspect of your life within your college experience. So once you're able to, graduate, you can build from those institutions with those connections that you have from within your institutions. The reason why I chose a community college first versus a university, I can say that it was affordable, but I wasn't ready to just be out in the real world yet. And then the university experience that most people, my family members before me explained, it's just so much out there when you first go out onto a university. Everything just pointing out to you, just everything just thrown to you. And I was just afraid of that because I was just a small girl from a small town that wasn't much there. So my experience with that, it was just, I want to go right here close to home where I can get my foot in the door and help myself grow with that. And then transitioning from a community college from Northwest to Delta State really wasn't big an adjustment for me because Delta State University, even though we are a small university, we still have that big experience that goes on our campus. So it isn't a big adjustment for those students that aren't ready to be out in the real world, just yet, but we still prepare our students for those careers where we take them out to different states and just get those, connections in with different professors.
All right, I'm going to bring Devin up to the spotlight, and we've got some questions for y'all that we're going to kind of do rapid fire as we wrap up. So for the both of y'all, tell us about student involvement opportunities for transfer students on your campus. Y'all both talked about the importance of getting involved when that at the community college with opportunities. That is, we know transfer students like Shakira, you mentioned that it's the four-year institutions can be large and intimidating, right? There's a lot going on. How do transfer students to y'all's institutions find their group? Devin, you mentioned there's 200 student organizations, but is there a specific transfer one? Like, how do transfer students get involved from coming from maybe a smaller community from high school and community college into a larger institution?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, so some specific transfer student organizations we have. We actually have, it's kind of a funny name, the TSA. You think airport and get really nervous, but it's our Transfer Student Association. There are a lot of different entities within that organization that help students to get plugged in. The Transfer Student Association has events that they host specifically for transfer students. We have about one or two each month. There's things, maybe like an ice cream social where you can meet different people from other community colleges and, learn their stories, get acquainted. There are a lot of fun events like that, like movie nights, board game nights that transfer students that are typically like seniors now, or maybe second semester juniors will put on. So those are just some good events to meet other transfer students, but they also have like a mentorship process. So students that have been here for at least a year that are transfer students, they can invest in new transfer students that want to learn how to adjust to university and do all that. So it's student-to-student mentoring. It's not just like, people that have worked at the college for a long time that are far removed from it. We pair older transfer students with younger ones, and just it's a way to give them community. It's a way to help them just, take the training wheels off and get going. And also too, since we have a lot of transfer students on our campus, a lot of our student organizations are pretty heavy on the transfer students being in them. Like I was involved in our Baptist Student Union, and there's a lot of transfer students there. So, and they even had some transfer specific events to kind of help me get involved too and meet others who are in a like-minded space. So yeah, and that's one thing that the Transfer Student Association will actually do is they'll connect you to specific student orgs that you're interested in. So maybe if you're interested in, board games or tabletop games, we have a student org for that, and they'll help get you connected. If you're interested in, I don't know, like whatever, they will help you make more specific connections from there. But there's also just a general Transfer Student Association. So that's a bit about what we have as far as that goes.
So for Delta State, we have this seminar class where it's for transfer students. So within that class, they talk about transferring to Delta State, and then within that, they talk about the different clubs and organizations that we do have for those students on campus. We let them know when, hey, this club is meeting this, and if you're interested in this club or organization, this is when they meet, and this is what you have to have to join this organization. Like Devin said, we also have different transfer events that happen on our campus. So it's very open to students. It's not hard to find for them to get involved and join in at Delta State.
Fantastic. Okay, so the next question I have, I'm going to send this to your area, Devin. What are the admissions requirements for a transfer student? And is that same for traditional high school age students? It's the same set of standard admissions requirements for all IHL institutions. Is that the same case for transfer students? And what are the admissions requirements?
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and say our transfer requirements. They're pretty simple. I know for most public universities in Mississippi, we all have pretty similar admissions requirements that IHL sets. So we have, to get into Southern Miss, you need a 2.0 overall college GPA that spans across all the colleges you've been to, not just your previous college. So for students that have been to Hines and Holmes and maybe even coming from university, we factor all those in. So 2.0 GPA, not too hard for most students to achieve. And then you need at least 30 credit hours, and you need to have taken a few specific classes, those being English Composition 1 and 2, college algebra or an equivalent class, and at least 2 lab-based sciences. So that's pretty standard for either that's pretty standard, or a lot of the other public universities are really similar. As far as high school admissions requirements, it's a little bit different. We're basically in Mississippi. I know a lot of you guys already know this, but starting at university, Mississippi residents are basically guaranteed admission one way or another. Public universities have admissions requirements that are based on, like GPA and having specific classes taken. But even for students that maybe aren't the best test takers at ACT, or their GPA is lacking a bit for whatever reason, there are alternate ways and different examinations and tests and different things they can do to start a university if that's what they really want to do. So yeah.
All right, Tahira, next question goes to you. Talk about how you advise students who are transferring from another 4-year college or university rather than a community college. As we know, not all transfer students come in directly from community colleges. What is your advice to them, and what kind of maybe admissions or financial aid things do they need to know?
So for transfer students, as far as financial wise, there are scholarships available for that. So we do have PTK scholarships. So if a student is in PTK, they get $500 for up to 4 semesters, and it is stackable with our other transfer scholarships that we have to offer for our students. Those other transfer scholarships that we have here, we have the Emerald Transfer Scholarship, which is $2,250 for up to 4 semesters. They have to have a 3.0 GPA and 45 credit earned hours, okay? And then the other transfer scholarship that we have is the Crossroads Scholarship. That scholarship is worth $1,125 for up to 5 semesters. And you also have to have a 3.0 GPA with that and 30 transferable credit hours.
And remind me of the PTK scholarship at Delta State one more time, because I know that a lot of our attendees have students that are interested in that.
Okay. So the PTK is $500 for up to 4 semesters, but it is stackable with the other transfer academic scholarships. So that student will probably end up maybe having to pay like $1,400 for school. So they can get that, they can get the Pell Grant, they can get other scholarship, like once they get into school, they will accept it into the school.
Fantastic. Thank you. That was 2 of my questions for you. So that was very helpful. All right, Devin, I've got a kind of scenario. We see a lot of students that are interested in attending a community college for maybe 1 year and then transferring to a university. Tell us what financial aid options a student who is maybe 30 hours at a community college has when transferring to Southern Miss.
Yeah, so specifically with us, I talked to a good bit of students that want to do that too. One thing I'll say is our community college scholarships at the moment, they require you to have spent about 3 semesters at your community college. So for those students that have no prior college credit going into the community college and they transfer after a year, they'd most likely have about 30-ish credit hours, which is about 2 semesters worth of coursework. So that would not be enough to receive our transfer scholarships. So specifically for students that I've talked to that want to come to Southern Miss, kind of like what I mentioned earlier in the presentation, affordability may not be like their number one factor. Maybe they're just having a really tough time at their community college, or maybe they just really want to come to Southern Miss. But either way, I advise them to if you spend a little bit more time at your community college, you can be eligible for the scholarship, just 1 more semester there, and you'll be able to save a lot of money. But some still decide they just want to come to Southern Miss anyways. Because again, that's, something else is their priority. It depends school to school for some of the other universities, what their credit hour threshold is. And again, I just recommend for those students wanting to go somewhere else, again, talk to admissions recruiters like me, check the website and see the fine print on the scholarships and the credit hour amount required. So
that's really helpful. We've got 2 more questions. The next is, if a student earns college credit in high school and then they attend a community college full-time, how can they ensure that all of those credits transfer and they don't duplicate when transferring? You kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I wanted to see if there was any advice that you have for those that are working with the high school students to help make sure that they're trying to be best on track moving forward.
Can you repeat that question again? It was going in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. So high school students, as we know, can earn college credits while in high school, and then they decide to attend a community college. They've got, maybe 2 transcripts of classes that they've taken. How can they ensure that they're not having to retake once they transfer to university too many classes? So, Sakura, you want to kind of give your advice on how you work with students there, even in the high school side, as they navigate that process?
So we have our academic maps that are online, so students can always go on deltastate.edu on our academic page, and they can click whatever major that they're interested in, and they can pull up those courses, and whatever is equivalent to what you're taking at your community college can line up with our curriculum at Delta State. We'll accept it, but we accept most transfer curriculum courses at Delta State.
All right. So the last question for both of you is, do you all have any transfer visit days, specifically for transfer students to your institutions? We want to make sure that the advisors that are on this call are aware and can share those out. If you don't have them scheduled, but they usually are at a certain time, if you'll just give us a brief overview, because as we heard earlier, it's important to visit those colleges, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I suppose I'll go first. So actually I've got a little event calendar over here. Gonna double check, but our transfer visit day is passed for this semester because it is, I don't know, a lot of our community college students in the state are getting ready for finals. So we try to have ours a little bit earlier. But typically we have our first transfer preview day in the fall. It's usually in November, like early November. And it's typically on a Friday because a lot of community colleges, I think the only ones that don't, well, let me take a step back. Most community college students have Friday off. I think Southwest and Jones are the only ones that don't, but yeah, we have ours on Fridays. We don't have our spring one scheduled yet, but it's typically mid to late March. We're waiting to find a date for that to make sure it doesn't conflict with like other big community college events like Phi Theta Kappa conferences and things like that. But for those of you guys that are interested or have students that are interested in visiting Southern Miss, you can just contact me for my contact info that was earlier in the presentation, and I can get back to you on that once we have a date for the spring. Oh, also too, we do, for students that just want a personalized tour, we do those Monday through Friday pretty much. They can either get a general campus tour where they see all of campus and visit a presentation where they learn a lot of general information, or we have an academic session where they also get to see campus and get a proper tour, but they get to meet one-on-one with a faculty member from their major and see the building and everything. So those students that really know what they want to do for a major, that's a really good one. So for those students that can't make it for preview day tours, us and Delta State and other colleges are always a good thing to set up.
So for us, hold on just a second. Okay. So for Delta State, transfer days is something that we're newly doing here at Delta State. So there will be something that will be coming up in the fall doing for our transfer students. But we do have a high school day coming up November 13th for those students that are interested in that.
Sounds good. Thank you both for answering those questions. And thank you both for all the great information. I hope that all of our attendees did find this presentation helpful. We will email you the recording for this webinar in the next couple of days and post it on our YouTube channel as well. If you have any follow-up questions on the information provided in today's webinar, please feel free to contact us at Get to College or any of our presenters. So stay tuned to the next Topic Tuesday webinar, which will be on Tuesday, December the 5th. During this webinar, we will be discussing ACT work keys. We will continue this webinar series throughout the fall and spring semesters. If you participate in 5 webinars, you will have the opportunity to apply for 0.5 CUs. If you participate in all 10 webinars over the fall and spring semesters, you will have the opportunity to apply for 1 full CEU. The remaining webinars for the fall semester and spring semester are listed on this slide. These webinars will be under the educator header on our website, then select Topic Tuesday under the events section. While you are there registering, please check out all of the other resources for you and your students listed under the educator tab. We will have lots of training opportunities for our educators over the 23-24 school year, and we hope you will register to attend many of them as possible. If you have any follow-up questions, you can reach us at info@gettocollege.org. We thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day.